Texas coaches, Coach Brackle here from First Down Playbook. After 25 years as a Texas high school football coach, I understand the time, energy, and commitment it takes to compete at your level. First Down Playbook was created by coaches for coaches to help you vertically line your total program. 1 week free team membership for all Texas high school and college coaches. Let First Down Playbook help give you that winning edge.
Moving on now to Class 4A Division 1. Out of the left side of the bracket, you've got a third-year program, Canyon West Plains, in their first ever state semifinal, taking on Bill Elliott's Salina Bobcats at 7 p.m. Friday at Abilene Shotwell Stadium. And then on the right side of the bracket, you've got Kilgore taking on a shocking Lavernia squad, 7 p.m. Friday at New Caney's Randall Reed Stadium.
Two team of destinies here, I'd say.
Very much so.
Yes, going up against very solid-looking opponents.
Scary.
This week.
Scary opponents.
We can talk about Salina in a minute, but let's start off with Canyon West Plains.
Yep.
Team of destiny, like we said. Their win over Stephenville last week, because we all picked Stephenville out of Region 1.
Yeah.
I was pretty confident in that pick. That was one of my more confident regional picks, I'd say. To go out there and beat Stephenville, a very decorated and experienced Stephenville team, and beat them in regulation, 42-35. Did you see the final play of that game? One of the final plays of that game, it was West Plains had an incredible fourth down goal line stance with like a minute left. So obviously they just ran the clock out at that point. But what Canyon West Plains has done this year in their third year as a varsity program is just been unreal.
Yeah, and it's their quarterback. He has just been incredible. I mean, and he's been starting, obviously, a 3-year program. He's been starting all 3 years. But, I mean, his freshman year, he went for over 2,200 yards in the air. Last year, over 3,300. This year, he's pushing 3,300 with 34 touchdowns, 35 touchdowns, 19 touchdowns, all in the air, not to mention he's got 15 on the ground. And I think that's where Reed Macron has really taken the step forward here, in my mind, is he now not only is his arm strength shining through, he can also get it and run it if he has to. And I think that him being versatile in that way has put Canyon West Plains into this position.
Yes, they've done an unbelievable job this year. Really excited to see Canyon West Plains make it to this point as a third-year program.
Yeah.
Hello, Salina.
No, I ain't going in there.
Bo Bentley.
No, I ain't going in there. Salina, I think, pound for pound, might be the most complete team in the state.
Yes.
From the jump.
Completely agree.
From the jump.
And they've been tested. This is not a team they're 14-0. This is not a team that has played a light schedule.
No.
They're
so scary.
They started off the year playing Belleville, Waco La Vega, Gunner, Franklin, Frisco Panther Creek, Aubrey, Sulphur Springs, and they won all of them.
Insane.
Every single
At
one
least
of them.
3 of those teams are playing in the state semifinals.
Yeah. It's absolutely absurd how complete this Salina team is. Now, I will say, their last 2 games, the defense has given up some points against Alvarado and Aubrey. 2 very good teams. But man, I think that I think Alvarado is a better team than Canyon West Plains. I think this Salina team is just too much.
Yeah, I think they're too much. I do think that if you do want to give Salina fits, it's going to be throwing the ball. Yes. So obviously, Canyon West Plains does have a gunslinger there under center that can make that happen. I think the Salina defense is going to feast.
Yes, I think that defensive line is going to attack.
Yes, they scare
They're
me.
hungry.
Mom, come pick me up. I'm scared. So Salina, we obviously took them.
Yes,
then
correct.
you move on to the other side of the bracket.
Another team of destiny.
Yeah, Kilgore, a team that we feel like
Lavernia is the team of destiny.
Yes, Kilgore is a team we feel like should be here. We pretty much had it penciled in that the winner of that district, whether it be Tyler Chapel Hill or Kilgore. They were probably going to meet again in the regional finals, and it was going to be the winner of that one going on and making it in State Lavernia. Came out of nowhere. I did not see them coming. The Bears
from week 1 of the playoffs when they beat Austin LBJ, my pick to win Region 4. I think all of our picks to win Region 4.
We literally, that popped across. We were at Texas Football tonight, and that popped across, and we were like, the who?
Who?
Beat what? Where? And they're still here.
And it's no fluke. They beat Port Lavaca Calhoun in Bay City. And this is a team that has improved from week to week throughout the entire season, especially on the defensive side of the ball. And I still think Kilgore is going to be too much.
I think Kilgore's battle tested.
Kilgore is absolutely battle tested. With that win against Chapel Hill last week, that was shocking because honestly, I thought maybe this could have been Chapel Hill's year with Demetrius Brisbane and Ricky Stewart being seniors. They've been there since their freshman year. I really thought this was going to be the year, and Kilgore went out there and manhandled them.
Yeah. Clint Fuller has done an incredible job at Kilgore. I think that's been an underrated story that we haven't talked about as much because we have been so focused on Chapel Hill the past few years. Kilgore's defensive line versus Lavernia's offensive line. Those are some big nasties going up against each other. That Kilgore defensive line is quick too. They're big, but they're quick.
Yeah.
So very interested to see that. I think you're going to get a Kilgore and Salina final. I think that one is interesting. But I think Salina is literally one of the most complete teams across the entire state. Kilgore and Salina. I was saying next week.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, Stiffer State. If we get there, I think that's an interesting game. But I still think Salina is
I agree.
The team to beat out of anybody in 4A Division 1.
Yes. I think it'll be an interesting matchup, but Kilgore has the best player on the field in Jaden Sanders, Michigan signee.
Love it.
They've got dudes everywhere.
Yeah.
I think it'll be too much.
Moving on now to 5A Division 2. In your left side of the bracket, coming out of Region 1, the Argyle Eagles taking on the Region 2 winners in South Oak Cliff. That one's 7 p.m. Friday at Ford Stadium in Dallas, there at SMU. And then coming out of the right side of the bracket, it's the Region 3 winners of Richmond Randall at a perfect 14-0 on the season. And out of Region 4, Bernie, the Greyhounds, back in another state semifinal, 7 p.m. Friday at McLean Stadium in Waco.
I picked Sauk and Randall.
I as well picked Sauk and Randall.
I promise they're different soon.
We did not pick all the same picks, but
these are two really good matchups too.
Very enticing games.
Could possibly go either way.
Sauk very clearly had P&G circled on their schedule.
Oh yeah, from last year. They
very clearly
destroyed them.
The way I thought Sauk was I picked Sauk to win that region. I thought Sauk was the more complete team, but this is a classic telltale sign of I assume Sauk is just going to blow through people, but it's so hard because they take losses early on in the season because they
scheduled Duncanville and North Shore, and then they run through district like it's nobody's business.
And so you're going, we know they're good, but how good are they?
Oh, and Longview. They played Longview too.
Yeah, what's the measurement of how good they are? Well, I think we saw early on in the playoffs that they were very good. I think that they got the whole state's attention when they just absolutely romped Port Neches Groves.
I think so too. I think Carter Kopecki has looked really good too.
He has really
stepped
forward.
up into that leader quarterback type role that they've really needed in that position. Honestly, ever since I think, and Stepp made a good point on Tep and Stepp, ever since Kevin Jennings left, who's now freaking killing it with SMU. But I really think they've been looking for that dude. Carter Kopecki also was at Arlington High School. Transferred.
Not no more.
Not no more. He's killing it for Sauk.
Yes.
But he's really taken a step up. On the other side of the ball, or not on the other side, looking at the opponent in Argyle, I think you could say McGuire Gasperson has really stepped up into that quarterback position. This Argyle offensive line is not one to be taken lightly.
No.
They've got a dude on there.
It's like a bunch of high-rise skyscrapers.
Tyler Roberts, and Powers and I have talked about him before. 6'9", 325 pounds. They also have a 6'5", 280-pounder on the line.
Sure.
Which is insane. Here's my thing, though. I think Argyle compares a lot to P&G. I think Argyle is a better team than P&G.
Yeah.
But I think they compare a lot to the sense of being big up front. And Sauk handled them pretty easily.
Yeah, because Sock is also real. I feel like Sock doesn't get enough credit for how big they are on the lines and how physical they can play. I think that Argyle, I'm interested to see Sock go up against more of a passing team than like Port Neches wants to run the ball. And I
Argyle
think
can throw it. Yeah,
I think that's why Sock had a pretty easy feat going up against them, because they just could not get the run game going. I am interested to see how good Sock's defensive backs are. I think they're a very talented group, but I do think Argyle could get their owns because their offensive line is so big. It'll give them time to distribute the ball.
Yeah.
Like, they're going to have time to distribute the ball. I picked Sock. I think that they're the favorite in this one, but I don't think people recognize how good this Argyle team is.
it's going to come down to trench play.
Yeah.
Who can play better in the trenches?
Yep.
That's who's going to win out, and I pick Sock too.
On the other side, you're looking at Richmond Randall, a perfect 14-0, taking on Bernie.
I'll be there.
3-loss team, down in Waco. Bernie made the move up from 4A Division 1 to 5A Division 2, and here they are.
Still here.
This one is interesting because I feel like Randall doesn't want to get out into a shootout, and Bernie absolutely wants to get out into a shootout.
Yes.
Their game 65-50 against Corpus Christi Miller last week. I mean, it was just all out.
Yes.
Air raid, let it rip.
Yes, no defense whatsoever. You're going score for score.
That if this one gets up in the upper 30s or 40s, Bernie actually has a chance here. I think that Randall is your favorite. I think if you've been paying attention to high school football for this season, Randall was a lot of people's favorites.
Yes. Because
Bernie could, if they can get it just high flying, they could have a chance here.
yeah, it's a classic strength on strength matchup here because, again, like you said, you've got Hank Hendricks at quarterback leading the way for Bernie.
Randall's defense is incredible.
And then on the other side of the ball, you have Randall's defense, who has not allowed more than 14 points to be scored in a single game all season. This defense absolutely has been dominant here.
Which is why I think that if it does get high scoring, they don't know how to play in a game where they're having to go shot for shot with people.
Right. If they score 21 points, they might not know what to do with them. If the defense allows more than 14 points, they might not know what to do with them.
Yeah.
However, I think I also trust Randall's offense to get the job done as well. They've got one of the best players on the field in Landon Williams-Callis, who I'm very excited to see in person. But yes, I completely agree with you. If this gets into a shootout, I think I'm taking Bernie. But overall, I trust this Randall's defense to shut the offense down. I'm picking Randall.
Yeah, I don't think that
this will be the highest scoring game that Randall has seen.
I don't think Bernie's played against a defense that's as good as Randall's this year.
No, they haven't.
They haven't seen that.
This will be Randall's highest scoring game. Definitely.
It should be, yeah.
Should be.
First one to 21 should win.
Correct. No kidding there. But no, I don't think Bernie can stop.
No.
Bernie will be able to score enough to beat Randall.
Moving on now to 5A Division 1 out of the left side. I cannot believe I'm saying this, but the Aledo Bearcats, they're not here. Denton Ryan was able to do the unthinkable and beat their district bunkmate in their second matchup of the season. They will be taking on the Scots of Highland Park, 7 p.m. at the Star.
The Star.
Which bodes well for Highland Park.
Yeah, it does.
Angleton then taking on Smithson Valley out of the right side. That one at 2:30 p.m. An afternoon game on Saturday at McLean Stadium. Here we go. We have differences.
Both picked Highland Park.
Yes.
I picked Smithson Valley.
Correct. And I went Highland Park and I went Angleton. So I struggled so much with the left side of the bracket because my mind kept telling me, Denton Ryan, you slay Goliath, you should make it to the state championship, right? That's what worries me. Is that where your mind went too?
That is exactly where my mind went.
I think they're going to be hung over on Aledo.
I think you're exactly right. And I think there's another team we're going to be talking about here soon who's in the exact same position. But that was their Super Bowl. The monkey on their back that they have had forever. And I really didn't know if Coach Hennigan was ever going to be able to do that, because Aledo just is so fundamentally sound and well coached, and they are just the it team, right?
Especially if you go back to their regular season game.
Yes.
Ryan was up big. We thought that they were finally going to beat Aledo, and then Aledo turned on the turbos engagers in the second half, and they came all the way back to win. They were up like 21-0 at one point. Or there was a 21-point difference in the game. They finally get past Aledo, and it just feels like this is the perfect way for Randy Allen and his just very fundamentally sound Highland Park squad to be like, oh, we're just going to walk from the start at AT&T Stadium, and the party at Jerry World will continue.
Well, that's the funny thing about Highland Park is I feel like they've been so silently a killer this year. Their only loss coming from a Colorado school. And remember, they made the move down from 6A Division 2 to 5A Division 1 last year. So they're back in their heyday here. I think this is a really fun matchup. And Highland Park doesn't really have those dudes. Like, they don't have any superstars. That's why they've been so quiet.
They're just a well-coached ball
they're
club.
A typical Highland Park team.
It's a well-coached ball club of good athletes.
Yes.
Not exceptional, but good athletes that when you put them all on the field and they're all working in synergy, they can beat darn near anyone in the state.
Agreed. But to your point earlier, I think the hangover's still there for Denton.
I do too. That's the only reason I took Highland Park. I was kind of shocked to see you take Highland Park because I was like, I feel like one of us is going to differ on that, and I was like, I just feel like it's too much.
I feel like it's too much.
On the bottom side, a very, very interesting matchup here between Angleton and Smithson Valley. Yeah, no kidding. This team is freaking fast.
Very fast.
They might be the fastest team in the state.
And they have playmakers all over the dang field. I mean, they've got a couple of D1 prospects, a couple of FCS prospects. They're loaded. They're silently loaded. And I think when you look at this bracket and you're saying, Angleton, where the heck did you even come from? Because this was a stacked region with Pflugerville Weiss.
Yep.
They lost early on. College Station, A&M Consolidated, LaPorte. I can tell you right now, I didn't pick Angleton out of those 5 teams.
No, it's insane. And they beat all of those teams by 1 score.
Yeah.
This is
They know how to get into a dogfight and win.
Grit. They have grit. Very, very interested to see how they play against a very talented Smithson Valley team.
They absolutely went out and obliterated Flower Bluff last week.
Which was shocking. Because it's not shocking that they won. It was shocking that they won by
fashion that they
won. Because that was a really good Flower Bluff team.
Cameron Dixon's been great.
Really good.
Has been great this year for Flower Bluff. They shut him down.
Smithson Valley's defense has looked incredible.
Yes,
they've got a lot of superstars, especially on the offensive side. But I think that defensive unit is really, really working this year.
Yes, Kate Spradling for Smithson Valley has been fantastic on both sides of the ball this year. This is a defense that is going to force you to make mistakes, and not only make mistakes, they're going to take advantage of those mistakes. If they can make Angleton make those mistakes, that didn't make any sense. If they can force turnover, if they can force Angleton into those mistakes, I think I'm taking Smithson Valley.
Yep.
However, if Angleton plays a clean game, I'm taking Angleton.
Yeah.
But for purposes, also, I'm taking the team that has this big game experience.
That's the biggest
Smithson
thing.
Valley.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing. I'm going to ride out the Angleton high because I feel like I've been pretty high on Angleton for a good chunk of the year. I'm going to see if they can do it again, but it would not surprise me. Regardless, I think that now the 5AD1 game for the state championship purposes is a lot more appealing, and I don't mean this in a bad way, but Aledo's not in it. Right. So it's entertaining by the fact that when Aledo, much in the same vein as Carthage, when they get to AT&T Stadium, it doesn't matter who the hell they're playing, they're going to murder you.
Yes.
And so it's like, well, we might actually have a competitive 5A Division 1 state title.
No kidding. This is as close to a coin flip game as you can get. The line is probably even at this point. It's a really, really fun matchup. I think it could go either way.
Moving on to 6A Division 2. Again, something that's very interesting because of the team that is not there. The DeSoto Eagles, not there. And the reason being is that John King went out there and just shocked the world. Because DeSoto, not only, yes, the 2-time reigning state champs, not anymore, but, they won the past 2 years. They were looking for their three-peat. And then and they were looking good too, man. I watched their game against Willis looking really good, and John King just found a way to absolutely expose them. So Longview playing South Lake Carroll 2 p.m. Saturday, and then Summer Creek playing Austin Vandegrift. I took South Lake Carroll and Summer Creek.
Okay, that's interesting because when you told me that you did not take South Lake Carroll, or you did take South Lake Carroll and not Longview, I was a little shocked because I thought that was maybe going to be the one that we differed on. I think this is also a very coin flippy type game because of the way
huge.
that Longview absolutely dominated DeSoto last week, and the way that they did it. They ran the ball down their throats. I was talking to Ish in there earlier. Ish said that Gabe Brooks went back and watched the game and texted me. He was like, they ran power like 34 times, gave it to Kelvin Boozy, Washington, and just ran with it. Ran the ball down their throats.
Typical
and
John
DeSoto
King.
could not do a dang thing about it. I don't know if the weather had something to do with it because I know the weather was kind of spotty on whenever they played last week, but that was a very, very dominant win over Longview.
So I went
DeSoto.
back and forth and back and forth and back and forth on this one because South Lake Carroll is very injured. They are very injured. I think they're down to their third string running back, which made me nervous.
Yeah.
Brady Boyd is an incredible player,
But without Riley Wormley and Davis Penn,
but without being
two Division I Power 4 signees.
Yeah. Without being two-dimensional, South Lake has not made it incredibly far. If they're two-dimensional, then they're great.
Yes.
But if they're not and they have to rely on either throwing or running, that's when you can find holes in beating them.
Here's the thing. Well, go ahead.
I think that when South Lake Carroll went out there and took down, I mean, this has been the thing. They took down a very good Hebron team and they took down a very good Denton Geyer team, and they've done it by just outscoring people and they're down running backs.
Yes.
That's where I think that South Lake Carroll could get this Longview squad, because I think that they want to get it in a shootout, and when South Lake Carroll gets in a shootout, South Lake Carroll wins.
Yes.
Longview doesn't want to get it into a shootout.
No, because they've had trouble with defending the pass this season. And here's the thing about this matchup. If DeSoto went out there and beat Longview, I would be picking DeSoto. I would not be picking South Lake Carroll.
Yep.
I think this is a much, much better matchup for South Lake Carroll. And
I would not be surprised if Longview wins this game.
No, I would not either.
Not be surprised
I would not
at
either.
all.
But I think in to my pick, it is a better matchup for South Lake Carroll.
Yeah, I agree. And then in the bottom half of the bracket, it is Humble Summer Creek, who is licking their chops now that DeSoto is out, because they would love nothing more than to revenge that 67-7 massacre that we had to watch.
That was such a
I tried to black that one out.
And that was the last game too of that Saturday, and I was like, I don't even remember what.
Going up
happened.
against an Austin Vandegrift team that has been at this stage before. Very interested to see this matchup. My thing here is Summer Creek is coming out of, if not the best, the second best district out of the entire state in 23-6A. They are battle tested. They know how to win games. Kenny Harrison has his guys going. I've watched the Summer Creek team a ton this season. I think that they are bigger up front, and I think that they are just going to be ready to get back to AT&T Stadium, specifically because DeSoto is not on the other end of that.
No, I think I completely agree with you. Blake Thomas, their quarterback, has been
Nails.
Absolutely excellent this year. Almost 3,000 passing yards, 37 touchdowns, adding 700 yards on the ground and 13 touchdowns there as well.
They're so much more battle tested.
Battle tested. They are very versatile on the offense. And then when you switch it over to the defensive side, that defensive line is scary.
Yeah.
One of my favorites, Chad Woodfork, who is a TCU signee, leads that defensive line. He's hungry. That dude is the scariest edge rusher I've seen. That is going to be a hungry defense for this Vandegrift offense.
I think Vandegrift has been an incredible team. Drew Sanders knows how to coach a ball club. There's no doubt about that.
And this is a team that lost 14 starters last year. 14.
And he is
and he
so
hasn't
good.
backplayed in the state semis.
Yep, and I just think Summer Creek is so much more battle tested.
I do too.
I think that they're playing a different level of ball right now.
Yep, I agree.
And finally, to round it all out, we get up to the big dogs of 6A Division 1. North Crowley taking on Duncanville Saturday at Allen Eagle Stadium. And this one, a rematch of this exact same game last year in the state semifinal round. And then teams that we've known all too well. You want to talk about just domination coming out of Region
know each other very
3.
well.
North Shore taking on Austin Westlake. That one 2 p.m. Saturday at Katy Stadium. I took North Crowley and North Shore.
Okay. I picked Duncanville and North Shore.
I think you're completely in your right to do that.
This is all, this is a, like you said, this is a rematch from last year's state semifinal game. If you remember back to last year, it was kind of a blowout.
It was
North
a blowout.
Crowley couldn't do anything.
Nope.
They couldn't score. They couldn't stop Duncanville from scoring. This year's a little bit different. This North Crowley team is very, very good. They've got prospects everywhere. On the offensive side of the ball, I think they have a very balanced attack in their running game. They've got 3 running backs who've been super, super impressive this year. Cornelius Warren, Daniel Bray, and then Keontae Ingram. And then also, you've got Chris Jimerson there, the UNT signee, and he's going to be thrown to Quentin Gibson, the Colorado signee. They've just got prospects everywhere on this offense. And then on the defense, too, they've been really, really good. But I think that's going to be their breaking point, is that defense, because they let up points. You can look back to the DeSoto game. They let DeSoto win that game, and they let DeSoto stay in that game.
Yep.
But, well, I wanted you to make your point before I make...
For me, if it's not this year, then it will not happen.
Yeah.
This is the year for Ray Gates to get his North Crowley squad to slay the dragon and to get to AT&T Stadium. So that's why I went with it. If it's not this year, then I don't think it's going to be any of the years coming. The biggest thing is so many of the different playoff games, North Crowley has started off so slow in the first half, and then they go off for 35, 47, however many unanswered points in the second half. They cannot do that this week. I think that the embarrassment from last year is still ingrained in the players' minds. If North Crowley comes out and doesn't start off slow, they can beat this Duncanville team. If they come out and they start off slow, they will lose this game. But for me, I went with North Crowley because it felt like, if not this year, then win.
No, and I completely agree with you. Here's my thing. It's very, very simple. I cannot pick against Keelan Russell and his go-to guy, DeCorian Moore.
No.
2 of the, I would say, the best high school wide receiver quarterback duo in the entire nation. I mean, the Alabama signee, the Oregon signee, you cannot pick against them. And North Crowley has had trouble this season when they're playing teams that have elite skill players. Yeah. And I think that's why I picked Duncanville. I can't pick against that dynamic duo.
Yeah. And then you move on to the right side of the bracket, Galena Park North Shore and Austin Westlake.
Very familiar with each other.
Yes. Westlake has got the juice. Okay. This is not a team to overlook. Reese Wise is a very good quarterback. I have been incredibly impressed by Reese Wise. You're operating with a Tony Salazar defense. There's nothing.
With Elliot Shaper there, one of the best linebackers, I'd say.
There's nothing that points to Westlake not being a very viable team to be a very capable team in this round. North Shore is insane right now.
They're just a different animal.
They
really
are insane. I think, personally, North Shore is the best team in 6A Division 1. Caleb Bailey has been incredible.
He's really taken a step up, too.
He has been incredible this year. And so I think North Shore is going to be too much for Westlake. I think North Shore can score, and I worry about Westlake being able to keep up with them from that perspective.
Yes, if they get into a shootout, I'm absolutely taking North Shore over Westlake all day. I just like, and I also just like, I like North Shore's defense a lot too.
Yeah.
Charles Ross, their linebacker, one of the fastest players in the entire state. LSU signing, I believe. Very, very strong. And then, of course, Caleb Bailey. Let him run free.
Yep.
I'm taking North Shore.